Good. Hi.
Bobby, last year you went 2-0 without Nico. Others stepped up like Singletary, Noah Brown. What do you expect now these next 4 games?
Yeah, really the same. You know, Nico is a guy that is really irreplaceable. You know, I think he's been playing probably the best ball of his career. I think right now he was, I'd say for us, he was the best receiver in the NFL and what he was doing. And you know, you can't replace that. But at the same time, we got a room full of guys that are hungry, that want to go in, they want to get their ops. I think Hutch did a great job in the game. After Nico went out, he took advantage of his ops. He showed up in the run game. He works every single day. Obviously, you have Metch, you have Woody, you have Sims. I mean, we got a lot of guys that can go out, that can play, and that can function. So we have full confidence that we'll just keep rolling.
Do you have to change any of the playbook without Nico being in there?
It's really the same as always. You know, everybody's good at their own things, and we like to emphasize the things they're good at, and we'll do that with the people we have out there.
Bobby, you've had a couple of players on the offensive side of the season deal with hamstring injuries. With an injury like that, how difficult is it to kind of gauge, you know, soft tissue, where a guy is in his recovery, and what are you looking at from kind of a coaching standpoint to see when a guy is, you know, available to come back for you?
Yeah, but wrong guy to ask, brother. I see him when he's healthy. So I mean, when he comes to me, we go roll, you know, and I know he'll be working his tail off. He has that mindset.
How is it to get Joe Mixon back? How was he? And how was it bringing him back?
Yeah, he's progressing. You know, it's like all the guys that are working through stuff. He's working his tail off every day and trying to get healthy as fast as he can.
How many of the problems with the run game, I guess, remain when Mixon comes back? Obviously, he makes it better, but you've had trouble running the ball lately. How many of the problems that you've had running the ball remain when Mixon comes back?
Yeah, I couldn't even come close to forecasting something like that. I would say, you know, the NFL is hard. Like, it's hard. And we embrace the fact that we've been able to get some wins and got to 4-1, and we played a lot of really good team efforts. Very rarely in the NFL, in any aspect, so even if you bring it all the way down to offense, are all things clicking at once. Like, that's an extremely rare thing in the league. So, you know, we had the first game, our run game was clicking. I would say probably our pass game, not so much. We've had a couple games in there where nothing was really clicking. And then we've had some games since where the pass game's been clicking and the run game's had its moments, but by and large has not always been exactly what we want. But, you know, that can change at the snap of a finger, you know. So just continuing to stick with it. I think our guys put on the last game, like, they put some really good clips out there, specifically in the run game. Like, the touchdown run we had was probably for Cam, probably one of the easier runs he had of his career. It was really well blocked. The two tight ends did a great job coming back across the formation. The left side of the line, LT and Kenyon, I mean, they washed it all down. Juice did a great job. Shaq blocked 2. I mean, like, it was as good as you could get. We just got to find a way to continue stacking those, you know, and that's really our what we're working on as we go through the year. I think that's every team in the NFL. What's been awesome is how everybody just constantly rallies around each other to whatever it is that week. Like, we'll find a way. We're going to find a way. And, you know, now I'm broaching beyond your question, but just like for us, even offensively, we felt like that was probably one of our better offensive games. First half was one where really we felt like we were doing and executing how we wanted. We had cleaned up the penalties, which was a big thing for us going into the game, which is a credit to the guys. I mean, they've gone all in on really trying to hammer that out. Then the second half, we kind of had a few times it showed back up and we just couldn't overcome it. And, you know, like, statistically, we've been good on third down. We've been good in the red zone. We've been good in yards. There's like this void somewhere between the plus 45 and the plus 30 that we've had some issues in, and that right now as a staff is what we're in there grinding and trying to figure out. Because really in the game where we stalled in the second half was we had 2, really 3 if you count the 44-second play, times where we got across the 40-yard line and we had no points to show for it, which that gets hard. That's hard to win in the NFL when that happens. So we were fired up as a team that we were able to rally together and get that done.
When you go back and you look at the last two games, in the second half, you all have combined for 13 points. What seems to be the issue coming into the second half of these games where the offense seems to stall?
Yeah, I think it's been different, really. Every one of those situations, it was something going in the last game. We really were focused on. We knew that it was something that we hadn't done well and we needed to get better at it. And I think the first drive, the second half of this last game, we came out, we got a field goal. I would have loved to get 7 right there, but we got points. And then multiple times we got across the 40. So we're doing everything we need to do. And then, we had the pick, we had the 4th and 1 we didn't get. And then we had the at the end of the game there where we didn't get anything out of that. So once you get into the opponent's territory, we got to find a way to get points, and that this week is what we're looking at as a staff, as an offense, as a team. And every week you keep isolating on different things, keep improving. So at the end of the year, you're exactly where you want to be. But, like I said, everything's not always clicking at once. We're just working on how to stack wins.
Diggs, what have you seen from him, his ability to be a high volume, high target guy, and maybe also get deep on occasion? I know that he's been a lot of intermediate here, but Nico has been the deep threat. But what do you see from what Stephon could do with more targets possibly?
Yeah, honestly, the same stuff he's been doing. He's one of the best separators we have. He's really good regardless of leverage he has in man coverage. He's one of the better people I've seen at beating leverage where they don't want to be beat. And then at the top of routes, he's extremely explosive. He's good with the ball in his hands. Probably this year, actually, I think he's been the most efficient ball in the hands receiver we have as far as yards and the yards that are available and what he's getting. So he's just going to continue to grow in the offense as we keep going through the year, and it'll be fun ride.
Bobby, kind of following up on what's happening this week, can you talk about just challenges that the Patriots defense presents, what you guys are preparing for, if you will?
Yeah, they're extremely sound, very well coached. Jumps off the tape that they're well coached, and only having watched that side of the ball, my grasp is their defense largely has kept them in a lot of games. That's what it feels like as I'm watching the tape. They've been on the field a lot. They've found a way to still keep opponents scoring down a good amount, and I think that goes to how well coached they are, how committed they are to what they play, and they're very multiple. They could have the same personnel on the field, but they line up in like 5, 6, 7 different ways. That creates issues for us in a lot of different manners that we have to make sure we iron out during the week so that when we get in the game, everyone knows what's going on. We know what to do. It's from a similar tree of Minnesota and Flores. How they call it is obviously a little different, but they're very, very technically sound, and they got some good players really at every level that do some things very well.
You touched on the 4th and 1. I know you're a person who's critical of himself. Do you still like that play, or what may have went wrong?
No, it didn't work. So not like if I was to do that again, I'd call something else. You know what I mean? I liked it going into it. Every time we call a play in the moment, we feel confident that it's going to work. And it doesn't matter what that is. It could be a 4th and 1. It could be a 3rd and 10. It could be 2nd and 15 run call. Like I'm calling it because we're confident that we're going to get what we want out of it. Obviously, we didn't there. We've been pretty good in short yardage this year. I think that was the first time in short yardage we've really been stopped so far this year. But we're aiming for perfection. So find a way.
There, 3rd and 5, 44 seconds left.
Yep.
In the air versus on the ground, kind of goes into that decision, and then specifically that play, D'Amico said there was some miscommunication maybe that led to the grounding call.
Yeah, we shouldn't ever get a grounding call there, so that starts with me. Like, I got to just do a better job of communicating to everybody what we're trying to get done. Like, that can't happen in that. We prided ourselves on we work situations all the time, and for a year and a half, I'd say we're a good situational football team. I think that's shown itself in how we handle 2 minutes. We're very good 2-minute offense. More of that is situations than anything. Like, people think it's going on the ball. A lot of 2-minute, you're not going on the ball at all. It's just handling situations when they come up. But as it pertains to that specific one, you know, like I would look at that similar to the end of the half at Indy. Like I botched that one. You know, there's schematically, you're expecting them to try to knock you out of field goal range. So you're pretty confident most coordinators in the NFL are going to all out pressure you. So the run game as a starting point, you have to feel confident if you call a run, at the very least, you're not losing 3 yards. Because that's, you know, it's risky when they're bringing everybody. Now there's ways we can definitely make that happen, and then in the pass game, obviously we got to be able to go execute.
Bobby, what is it about Stroud where he makes a mistake, he seems to blow it off immediately and comes back and plays well?
Yeah, he has. I can assure you, he doesn't blow it off immediately. I know he portrays himself that way, but like it's one of those things where like a great quarterback has to remember everything and have amnesia, which is like, what are you talking about? But you got to remember all your mistakes. You got to remember all your scars. You got to learn from those. But at the same time, the very next play, you got to go back out and you got to let it rip. And I don't know a word that describes that, but he has it. You know, he's critical of himself as he's walking off the field. He's always his hardest critic. And by the time he gets to the bench and we start talking, he usually is telling me what I'm going to tell him. And then pretty quick, once he gets to the pictures, he's able to move on and he understands, like, we still got to go out on the field and we're still going to be throwing the ball. You still got to let it rip. We still got to operate in and out of the huddle. And he has that.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, let's kick it off, man. Let's go.
I want to bury the lead. So, rookie quarterback, guy that's I heard he's first season, first start, all that stuff. What do you see from him as you go back and try to scour the tape a little bit? And as far as the matchup, obviously, rookie QBs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a reason he was drafted where he was from a talent standpoint. Big, athletic, moves around pretty good, throws on the move. Arm talent. So, it's again, obviously a lot of unknowns. Just trying to sort of triangulate between, what we see, him do well in college tape and what they've done this season so far from, in the structure of their offense and, what sort of the coordinator liked against us last year. So just trying to put it all together and see like what we think. But again, as always, at the end of the day, it's going to be about us executing kind of what we want to execute. So, but you see the talent jumps off tape for sure.
Go ahead, Serge. I was just going to say, when you have a young quarterback making his first start, I know that the running back is going to be his best friend. So what have you seen from Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah, I mean, that's the starting point, rookie quarterback or not, for them. You know what I mean? They've been running the ball really well. They're top 10 in the league in a lot of cacategories. Both those backs are really good. I mean, Ramondre, heavy back, runs hard. Gibson's got a little bit more, maybe more juice and bounciness to him, but together I think they're top 2 or 3 in the league in like broken tackles and yards after contact. So it's not even just more like scheme stuff. It's how hard those guys run, and our challenge in terms of like getting body on body and tackling well and getting hats to the ball is going to be key to the game, regardless of who's playing quarterback. To be honest with you.
How much has what y'all done on defense this year been just kind of an adjustment to the personnel y'all have, playing 2 linebackers, Christian's out, Petrie having the role he's having? How much of that has just been like an adjustment to personnel as opposed to like a permanent schematic thing?
Nothing's permanent in life. So I would just say that I think our job as coaches in general is to take the players you have and put them in the best spots to help you win a ball game and to help them have success. And so, yeah, and that's week to week, as you guys know, as injuries mount and maybe some guys out for 1 week and this week maybe something else is available and someone comes back next week or whatever it is. So I just think that's our job in general is we, especially once you get in season and okay, hey, this is who we have and how can we deploy them and what's best. And let's, put those guys in the best positions. And sometimes it looks different week to week or play to play. And I think that's the challenge for us every week coming up. Okay, this week maybe it looks a little different and maybe the menus change. But for sure, that's just part of what we do, I would say. Yes.
I guess Lassiter's been playing a large percentage of the snaps. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be more of assuming that he can't go, is this going to be more like a committee, like a group trying to fill in his role?
I don't know. I'm not sure who's going to be available yet for us. So when we figure out exactly who that is, I think those will, those determinations will be made. And that's like what we do going through the week. Like, again, part of practice, not just obviously prepping for their team, but putting those guys in those spots and putting different people and say, hey, is this sort of set up better than this? And I would say I think Coach does as good a job as anybody of just sort of evolving as to the week. Like, let's try this out. Man, I don't like that as much. Okay, that looks decent. Let's sort of build on that. Or, hey, this guy's showing up a little bit more. Maybe we can kind of incorporate that element. So I'd say that's probably still ongoing, and we'll have the answer by Sunday. How's that?
Up in New England, they're talking about what a really good, strong runner that he is. And Alan Herchovs runs last week. How much do you have to worry about a rookie, especially things break down and he's going to run a lot?
Yeah, I think just going back to about watching him in college and stuff. I mean, I think he made a lot of plays outside the pocket. I think Josh is obviously elite and unique at it, but there's elements of that to his game, even just watching the college tape. So it's definitely something on our mind. Again, I feel like it's been every weekend here that we're having those conversations. So we've been kind of prepping in that mindset for most of the season in terms of dealing with off-schedule plays and quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket. And I do think he's got enough of that element of his game that we've got to be wary of it.
I hope that you've gone against a bunch of guys like that already.
I hope so. I'll tell you on Sunday night. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's elements to. I mean, you go back, right? Anthony Richardson and Caleb and Josh and a lot of the guys that we've faced that we've had to account for, whether it's how we rush and how we contain, or how we work in the back end when things break down and covering through the down and all those things. So I do think that there's some carryover to some of the things we've been able to accomplish so far this year.
You guys are the top quarterback pressure defense in the league. We've heard about the quarterback get rid of the ball fast.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things that teams have done to sort of kind of try to mitigate the amount of pressure that you guys are able to put on quarterbacks?
Yeah, there's a lot. You can bring Bobby back up. You want to come up? Obviously varying protection schemes. They can, diff with chips or maxing up or doing different things, moving the pocket. A lot of teams will try to run screens and things like that to slow us down, and try to just make your rush hesitate a little bit. Obviously, quick throws, getting the ball out, having answers. There's a lot of variety of ways running the ball and keeping you in shorter and manageable situations where it's harder to maybe get pressure, where those quick throws, if it's 3rd and 3, you can get the ball out of your hand and still get a first down. If it's 3rd and 9 and you get the ball out of your hand quick, maybe it's not a first down, so maybe that's not as successful, So we have to be good on our early downs, and I think they're going to try to make them more manageable downs to allow those strategies to be more successful when you do get those situations.
How do you sort of marry that evolution, seeing a bunch of different things, with the kind of the attack front that you guys have?
It's just
don't think.
It's I know, I always say that. I would say it's more reactionary, right? So when you're getting off the ball, right, and you're attacking, and if the old lineman slips you to get on a screen, that's your recognition. Now I have to put my foot in the ground, turn and run, and come out of the stack. Or again, if the protection changes, hey, they're sliding this way, or they're putting chippers in here, let's have answers to how to beat that protection or whatnot. Or, hey, they're getting rid of the ball quick. We got to tackle well on the perimeter, because we can't let a 3-yard gain turn into an 8-yard gain, and we've got to, stop leaky yardage out there. So whatever those things are, there's always built-ins to try to counteract that.
When you are playing a rookie quarterback, how much of his college film versus how much of you're looking at that versus what they've already done with Jacoby Brissett versus preseason film?
Yeah, like all of it. I mean, honestly, I feel like I would say, their structure of their offense is. I would be pretty shocked if they just start running things we've never ever seen before. Like, I don't know that that's going to be the operation. But what you try to do is sort of cross-reference. I would say the unknown is sort of, okay, what do they like him doing specifically, and what is he good at, and what throws does he like to make, or where does he like to set up in the pocket, all those type of things. So you try to find those answers a little bit, and then cross-reference that with in the offense where are those type of plays, or where are those answers. Okay, he's better at this. Maybe they call more of these type of plays. You know what I mean? Again, you can start chasing rabbits. Obviously the coordinator being in Cleveland. We had 2 late games against Cleveland last year, so some of the ways they like to attack the front and what they're looking at there. You just try to parse out what you can from all that information. And again, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they can call whatever plays they want to call. So at the end of the day, like, some of that I won't say doesn't matter, but we've just got to be good at our stuff. And I think, again, probably similar to we've talked maybe early in the year about some of the, like when you're early in the season. Just working through the unknowns on game day and on Sundays as it's evolving. It's going to be a real time, like, okay, this is kind of the approach that's happening. How do we want to call it?
Thank you.
Yes, see you up there.
Did Robert Woods kind of come to you, or
Can you start again? I missed the first question.
At what point did either Robert Woods come to you, or did you all come to Robert Woods and express the possibility that he could be a punt returner at any point off season?
Yeah, a year ago, just said, hey, relative to it was Tank's rookie year, just getting in and just saying, hey, work you from the jump. Just we're playing football, right? Great, whatever you need. So that's the type of mindset everybody. And then weekly, depending on availability on anybody on the roster who's playing, like, we're going to continue to rep everybody. Everybody has to get ready to go. It just so happened he got the lead last week and did a good job for us.
What do you think about that? The fact that he's 32 and willing to do, even punt return at this point.
I'm 37. I'd be willing to if I could, but I can't. And he is, and he can. So appreciate the hell out of him for that, for sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
With Kaimi and the distance, the accuracy, you feel like he's getting better each year?
That's the goal. The goal is every time you step out on the football field to have a better performance than the last one. I mean, that's what the mindset of a great professional athlete is. And you guys know this, like, there's a developmental phase that happens from years 1 through 3. I think I said this kind of in this vein when we first started training camp. We're trying to fast forward rookies to year 3. And can we get that done in the 6 months from when they start to the time we're in middle of the season? And, like, we're trying to fast forward a rookie. Imagine, an 8-year vet you're trying to climb. And in an ideal world, you don't peak early. Ideal world, you continue and you ascend, and then you hold it at that top for as long as you can. So really happy with where he's at, and the growth is due to one thing, and that's the mindset and the person that he is. And putting in the work will take care of the rest.
What do you think is going on with Townsend's punting? He's not punting it as far as he has in the past. Do you think something's going on there? Is it something that you think he can get out of?
Yeah, I think that he is punting as far as he has in the past. I think that, like, we've had multiple midfield punts, and multiple times in the fourth quarter those have resulted in outstanding. The biggest moments of the games, a long net in the midfield area is the best you could ask for. So, of course, every ball we want launched, but of course, every ball he wants that launch, but that's just not real. That's not real. So, love where he's at right now. Love the ability for him to keep coming to work and showing up. Anytime we get a chance to flip the field from a field punts perspective, we got to try and go do that.
Do you have a rule on when guys should return punts deep in their own territory? Is there a feet on this yard line, go back, don't do it type thing?
Yeah, and I obviously know what you're referencing, but I would say we have our rules for sure. Always want to try and play within the constraints, and then you don't want to try and go find a play. You want to let them come to you. So trying to be super aggressive is the sign of, somebody that really wants to do it, you know what I mean? But just got to have really good judgment in critical situations and be sound in our decision making. No different than, just, hey, it's a Hail Mary, don't, keep everything in front of you. Or, hey, it's a 4th and short, we know the line to gain, right? We don't want to just start cutting east and west. You play within the rules of what you're trying to do. And then when we're trying to be a playmaker, don't go looking for them. Do the little things right, and then they'll come and find you. So just got to be sound in all situational football. And that's in a way, the game within the game of knowing when and where to field it, to return it, to be aggressive, to cut your losses and move on type of thing. It's a good question.
What's it like for a special teams coach whenever, like, let's say someone goes down on defense and then, like, one of your key guys who plays mainly special teams is all of a sudden on defense? Like, what is that? What is that like for you?
It's resistant.
Yeah,
I get possessive. No, flexibility. I'm always trying to improve my flexibility as a rigid person. I'm always trying to improve my flexibility in my mind as a coach, and I think that's a sign of a complementary roster of next man up. Guy can play a little bit, like he's training in the wings over here, and then he gets a chance to step into the spotlight. So whether that's a linebacker, a running back, a receiver, I've had multiple instances. I remember 2 years ago in a December football game. Hey, Eric Murray, you've never done it. I need a gunner. You got it, coach. Just never lined up a gunner since I've been here, at least. Just, hey, whatever we got to do to make this play. So I think that's reciprocating offense, defense, special teams roster has makings for something that can be really good. So anytime that happens, it's tough. You got to be fleet of foot and try and find a way to get an answer and sub the next guy in and make sure you pick up right where you left off. It's a staple of our special teams unit when we're at our best.
Coach, you never give us an estimation on how far you think Kyrie can actually kick. So when it comes down to,
I think you asked me that the other day.
When it comes down to these decisions to be
Sure.
made, like on Sunday,
Sure.
when Bobby comes to you and say, where do we actually need to be in order to be in his range?
Yep. We always go in with a plan, and then we say, hey, here, like based on, again, we're going outside this weekend, and it's going to be perfect. So no coats allowed, no T-shirts allowed, hoodies are mandatory. It's going to be perfect. But every time you go there, okay, or every time pregame you have that conversation, here's our line to gain. Here is the furthest we could shoot it from. Anything past that, we're green right there. So whatever that line is, weekly, and then situationally. And then you got to think about it. We kind of touched on this before, but why are all these kicks happening from midfield? Well, the starting point has been further out with the new kickoff. So it's 2.5 first downs and you're in decision time. So, but we know that across the NFL, those are 55-plus yard kicks are at, I don't know after this past few weeks, but they're below 60%. They're in the 55 percentage, roughly there. So okay, 1 out of every 2 times you're handing the other team the ball at the 50. If you're going to try a 60-yard field goal. So you have to know that going in, and I think that's important for us. Just guys earn the trust, but we got to play smart situational football, and then at the end of games, how far do we think we can actually get it there? Those are determined pregame, and then those guys, the offensive play caller, head coach, obviously they know that going into the down. Hey, here's where we're going to get to. Okay, we're in there. Hey, next one, don't lose yards and make it harder, so on and so forth.
So after they got the ball back, did you and Bobby have a conversation?
It was already previous because of the drive before kind of was close to that type of thing, but and then what a sequence. What a sequence. Like, talk about efficiency. Woods, kamikaze to return to get it, like every inch mattered, and he didn't hit the brakes. He submarined it for every last yard he could find. Ended up, they called it a 13-yard return. I think it was a 15-yard return. Like, he got every ounce out of that return in a split second. It was no time wasted. So what a sequence there by the defense. Woods, the blocking, taking care of the gunners before you take care of the core players in the box, knowing that if he hits it high and short, we can fair catch it. If he drives it, we get a chance. We got to go now. And it just was good situational football. So, we're going to a place in New England where their special teams unit has been allotted for years. The best special teams player in the history of football, Matt Slater, is coaching some of those guys. They've done an incredible job this year already. They blocked the punt last week. Brendan Schooler is basically the best kickside gunner in the league. Ellis is playing like, one of the most productive cover players in the league. It's just ingrained in that building up there to have a roster that's, created on guys who are earning their way up, and it clearly shows. I mean, they have a new special teams coach, Jeremy Springer, and they've improved. Like it's that can be very scary against a team that's situationally football sound, and we got to go up there and just like we did a week ago, execute in the fourth quarter when it matters the most. But we got to start with the mindset of right now on Thursday, like situation football is going to be key this weekend. Cool. That's good. See you guys.
Thank you.